She calls you her best friend and says you're an incredible man. You are her safe harbor, her advisor, the benchmark for character. But when it's time to choose a body to desire, she chooses another. If you've ever felt the frustration of being the statue in the museum, admired from all angles but protected by a velvet rope that forbids touch, know that you are not alone. This feeling of being the right man for everything except the one thing that matters corrodes your masculine identity. You become a monument to good behavior, a priceless piece of art she proudly shows off to her friends, but would never, under any circumstances, take to her bed. What you don't understand is that the admiration she feels for you and the desire she feels for others are biologically incompatible. She looks at you and sees safety, comfort, predictability, and that is precisely why her body doesn't respond. You are not a failure as a man. You are the victim of a brutally flawed strategy based on a lie we've been told since childhood. And that lie has turned you into art when you should have been fire. This lie has a name, the admiration trap. And it works because the human brain, especially the female brain, is an energy efficiency machine. It needs to categorize everything and everyone to conserve resources. The moment she stamps you with the seal of reliable, safe, and helpful, she places you on a mental shelf from which it's almost impossible to escape. You become the perfect human appliance, the state-of-the-art refrigerator that never fails, the air conditioner that cools the room, the shoulder that works like a phone charger for her crises. She admires your function, she depends on your utility, she panics if you threaten to break down. But answer me this: what woman feels an overwhelming, ravenous desire for her refrigerator? None. Desire is not born from utility, it is born from disruption. And by becoming the most useful and reliable man in her life, you have programmed her nervous system to feel for you the purest, most chaste contentment. You have become a valuable resource, but you are sexually invisible, an item in her inventory, not an event in her body. Modern society has sold you the idea that being a good man is the path to her desire. This isn't just a lie, it's a form of psychological castration. What I am about to prove to you, using neuroscience and evolutionary psychology as a scalpel, is that the very same qualities that make you admired are the ones that make you sexually repellent. I am going to give you the map to mechanisms no one has ever had the courage to show you. The truth about what her body seeks, not what her mouth says it seeks. But before we continue this descent down the rabbit hole, tell me in the comments below, have you ever been told you're too nice by a woman you were genuinely trying to love? I read every single response. And if you're not already subscribed to this channel, do it now, because what's coming next will demolish the foundation of how you see every interaction you've ever had. If admiration and desire are from different planets, you may be trying to buy desire with the wrong currency. In the next act, we'll see the real value of your nice guy currency in the marketplace of attraction, and the result is brutal. The brutal result is this: your nice guy currency not only has no value in the marketplace of attraction, it operates with a negative value. It disqualifies you before the negotiation even begins. This happens because your behavior of always being available, always agreeing, always being accommodating, is decoded by her primal brain not as a virtue, but as a biological signal of low value, of an absence of leadership, of a lack of a self-sustaining masculine frame. As a researcher of human behavior, I observed this for years, but as a woman, I felt it viscerally. Male passivity, the need to please, is a biological repellent. You are trying to appeal to the CEO in her brain, the logical part that appreciates security and planning. But the one who signs the check for desire is the animal, the instinctive part that responds to urgency, to challenge, to strength. And while you present your impeccable resume of qualities to the CEO, the animal has already jumped out the window and run off with a man who may have none of your qualities, but who has one thing you have abdicated: the presence of controlled danger. This presence is the key to everything. Female attraction isn't triggered by safe men, but by men who carry loaded guns and choose not to use them. The gun is not violence. The gun is your ability to say no, to have your own opinion, to hold non-negotiable boundaries, to walk away if you are disrespected. It's the potential for controlled aggression, the certainty that you are not a doormat who will accept everything with a smile. Neuroscientist Kent Berridge proved that the wanting system, desire, is separate from the liking system, contentment. The nice guy floods her brain with the chemicals of liking, of satiety. You become as comfortable as a sofa. But the man with the loaded gun, the man who has the option to disagree, to challenge, to impose his will, hijacks her dopaminergic system, the system of wanting, of the hunt, of addiction. He is an event, not an object. Now answer me with total honesty. How many times in the last few months have you swallowed your own opinion, canceled your own plans, or made yourself smaller to fit into her world, thinking you were being a better partner? The consequence of continuing down this path is the slow death of your masculine identity. In the long run, the man who insists on being the cure becomes her emotional janitor. You will be the first one she calls in a crisis, the last one she invites to her bed. She will cry on your shoulder about the very man who activated her wanting system, and you will listen, because that's what good men do. You become an accomplice in your own demotion, trading your desire for a good friend diploma. Your presence will become so guaranteed and harmless that the sexual tension between you won't be zero, it will be negative. She will feel a slight repulsion, the same feeling we get from something cloyingly sweet and without texture. You are no longer a man to her. You are a function, a service. And the price of being her safe harbor is that she will always want to sail in other seas, more dangerous seas, where the adventure happens. You spent your entire life learning to be the cure, but she doesn't desire what cures her. She desires what consumes her. Next, we'll understand why your best qualities are, in fact, your greatest weaknesses in the arena of seduction. Your best qualities are your greatest weaknesses because they only qualify you for half of the selection process of attraction. Evolutionary psychologist David Buss, in his sexual strategies theory, proved that women evolved to seek simultaneously two types of partners: one for the short term, with good genes, signs of health, dominance, testosterone, and another for the long term, with good resources, reliability, stability, ability to provide. The fatal error of the modern man is that he enters the contest armed only for the second position. He presents himself as the perfect candidate for the role of provider husband, without first passing the primal, non-verbal interview for desirable partner. This is why she admires you but doesn't desire you. Your resume as a good man is flawless, but it's being evaluated by her neocortex, the logical part. Desire, however, is a visceral decision made by the limbic system, the animal that only understands the language of strength, status, and dominance. You are trying to sell a retirement plan to someone who is looking for the adrenaline of now. And in that arena, your virtues of reliability become a certificate that you offer none of the stimulating danger her instinct craves. This power dynamic is governed by an iron law. Whoever needs it less, leads. The man who does not need her validation, her approval, or even her presence, instantly assumes control of the interaction. He becomes the emotional anchor, while she, by instinct or habit, generates waves of chaos, congruence tests, drama, mood swings. He remains unshakable, fixed in his own center of gravity. He doesn't react, he observes. He doesn't scramble to fix the storm, he lets it pass, because his ship is stronger than her wave. This posture is not a technique. It is the external manifestation of a non-negotiable internal value. Most men, at the first sign of instability, rush to calm the waters, becoming reactive and therefore subordinate to her emotion. They become the effect, and she, the cause. Now, be brutally honest with yourself. When was the last time you acted from your own code of values, even if it meant risking her approval or her presence? When was the last time you were the anchor and not the terrified sailor? The practical application of this principle begins with one decision. Your emotional well-being is no longer negotiable. Your mission, your standards, and your boundaries come first, not as an act of selfishness, but as a prerequisite for any healthy interaction. It's a quiet power, the certainty that you will be fine with or without her. If what I've just described sounds like a foreign language, or if you see yourself constantly giving in to keep the peace, tell me in the comments. Have you ever made yourself smaller to keep someone who never truly chose you? I read everything. Understand that everything you've learned so far is just the foundation of the problem, the diagnosis of the disease. In the next act, we'll reveal the engine that truly drives female desire. And be warned, the truth is uncomfortable, and it will accuse you of being the very thing you've always tried not to be. The uncomfortable truth I promised you is this. The engine that drives female desire is tension. And you, in your relentless quest to be a good man, have become a master at destroying this tension. Wake up. Your greatest virtue, your predictability, your unshakable reliability, is the greatest sin you can commit in the arena of attraction. Desire does not survive in comfort. It is born and thrives in the hunt, in the uncertainty, in the doubt that forces her brain to work. Predictability is the silent killer of dopamine. The moment you become 100% available, 100% transparent, and 100% reactive to her needs, you become a movie with the ending revealed in the first minute. And nobody pays to see a boring movie. She might even give you a standing ovation for the technical quality, for the impeccable cinematography of your good intentions, but she will not feel the racing heart, the dilated pupils, the urgency to consume the story. The study, He Loves Me Not, by Whitchurch, Wilson, and Gilbert, scientifically proved what female instinct has always known. Attraction increases dramatically when there is a degree of uncertainty about the other person's feelings. Your love life is a boring movie, and you are the writer, director, and lead actor, and you insist on revealing the end of your own script. Now pay close attention, because this is the great secret you were promised but never delivered. The truth that separates the men who are admired from the men who are sovereign. She does not love you because you are good. She respects you because you are strong. And without respect, a woman's love for a man is biologically impossible. What you call love is, most of the time, a utilitarian attachment, an affection for your good behavior, a gratitude for your function. Respect, however, is a visceral, involuntary response to your strength. And that strength manifests as your ability to generate and sustain tension. It is your silence when she expects a reaction. It is your no when she is used to your yes. It is your absence when she took you for granted. These are the gateways. Every time you choose your purpose over pleasing her, every time you enforce a boundary instead of yielding, you are not being a jerk. You are walking through one of those gates. You are demonstrating, on a primal level, that your world is bigger than she is. And it is only on the other side of those gates that her desire can even see you. Common men spend their lives begging for the key. Sovereign men are the door itself. I know what you're thinking, so I have to be a scoundrel, a manipulator, a player? That's your conditioned mind trying to protect you from an unbearable truth, trying to drag you back to the safety of your own mediocrity. You've understood nothing. You are not the victim of a game. You are the author of your own failure. By removing all tension, all uncertainty, all challenge, you are not being good. You are actively killing her desire with your own hands. You've become as predictable as the sunrise. It's beautiful to watch, it's reliable, but no one loses sleep over it. No one feels their body vibrate with the certainty that the sun will rise tomorrow. It's a fact, not an event. You have become a fact in her life. And now I ask you, if your total availability and your unshakable predictability are the very things that nullify her desire, what is left for you to do, other than to become the opposite of the good man you pride yourself on being? If what I just explained resonated, subscribe to this channel. What you heard today is only the entry point. Every week I go deeper into a layer most men will never see. The answer to that question is not to become a jerk, a scoundrel, or the caricature of toxic masculinity that society uses to keep you in your place. That is the false dichotomy that imprisons you. The alternative to the good man is not the bad man. It is the real man. The man who stopped performing goodness and started building character. The hardening I propose is not an armor of coldness, but the natural expression of an internal skeleton of non-negotiable values. He is a man who understands that his value is not a prize to be awarded by a woman, but a pre-existing fact, forged in his discipline, in his purpose, in his refusal to shrink himself. He doesn't need to prove he is desired by other women because he has already been pre-selected by the most demanding lover of all, his own mission. He doesn't need external validation because he validates himself every morning when he looks in the mirror and knows he did not betray himself. This man is not dangerous because he hurts others, but because he refuses to be hurt, to be disrespected, to be used as a resource. And that refusal, that simple, quiet refusal, is the most aphrodisiac source of power that exists. This power emanates from a single, inexhaustible source, your purpose. The sovereign man places no woman, no matter how incredible, above his mission. He does this not out of coldness or selfishness, but from understanding a brutal law of the world. The universe, and consequently a woman, despises a man who abandons his post. He who betrays himself for temporary affection is punished with contempt. Your personal sovereignty is an internal fortress, with walls built by every no you said to what did not serve you, and every yes you gave to your own journey, even in the dark, even alone. Her emotions, the chaos, the tests, all of it is just weather on the outside of your walls. There may be storms, but your structure is non-negotiable. A man without this fortress is an emotional refugee, seeking shelter in a woman's territory, living under her laws, subject to her whims. He becomes a second-class citizen in his own relationship. Now look inside, with brutal honesty. Have you built the walls of your fortress, or are you still living as a guest in her territory? When a man understands that his mission is his compass and his self-respect is his anchor, he ceases to be a reactive object and becomes a force of nature. His actions, his movements, his silence, everything becomes unpredictable to an outsider, not because he is playing a game, but because he is playing his game, a game with bigger rules. The tension he generates is not a manipulative technique, but the inevitable byproduct of a man who moves with purpose, whose orbit does not depend on an external satellite for validation. He doesn't seek her desire, He simply exists in a way that makes desire the only logical response from her primal instinct. He demonstrates, without saying a word, that his world will keep spinning, with or without her. And this calculated indifference to the outcome is what finally frees her to want you. Because female desire is never requested, it's triggered. If this resonated, subscribe to the channel. What I just explained is only the entrance. Each week I go deeper into a layer most men will never see. And triggering desire is just the first step. The final goal is a state that goes far beyond it. We've reached the end, and the truth that remains after the noise of your indignation falls silent is as cold as steel. The pain you felt was not an injustice of fate. It was the direct result of your abdication. You were not her victim. You were a victim of the lie they taught you to love. The blindfold has fallen, and what you see now, in the brutal clarity of reality, is the ghost of the man you could have been, haunting the good man you forced yourself to be. Your journey is not about winning her back. It's about mercilessly destroying the imposter who lives inside you, the one who seeks approval, who trades respect for affection, who kneels expecting a reward. If you've made it this far, you've already understood that the problem was never her. It was the map you were using, and now, in the silence that follows, two roads open up before you. You can put the blindfold back on, return to being the admired statue in the museum, the useful appliance, and spend the rest of your life wondering why the warmth never comes, dying slowly inside, in a comfortable, meaningless life. Or you can accept the weight of sovereignty, the loneliness of the throne, and become the son of your own system, indifferent to the planets that come and go, generating your own heat, your own light, your own gravity, becoming a destination, not a passenger. The choice is not between being good or bad, it is between being a resource or being the source. There is no middle ground. The decision is yours, and yours alone. If you chose the second path, if you chose fire instead of art, there is a next step. I've placed it in the video that's now appearing on your screen, and I recommend you watch it before you sleep tonight to seal the commitment you just made to yourself. At the end of the day, admiration is the consolation prize she gives to the man who didn't have the courage to make her feel. English adaptation complete. All steps concluded. The agent is ready.